You're live. Hey. We've tried to go live on the Trinities, and for whatever reason, it's not working. So here we are. Dave will join me in a minute, and we can talk a little bit more. So I'll just wait for people to come on, give a few minutes for everyone to join. I've been meaning to come and have a chat about astrology. Now, I'll start with saying I'm a newbie to this. I'm a novice. I'm self-taught. I follow or take guidance from a few different astrologers that I feel are, know what's going on, in particularly intuitive astrology. I hope this year to, hey Dean, I hope this year to be able to learn more in depth in this area. And even incorporate it into my coaching that I'm doing. But I just thought I'd put this guidance out there for everyone else. Hi. For everyone else, just so that you have the heads up, and if things have been coming up for you, you perhaps know that this might be the reason. I feel strongly it is the reason. I feel strongly that we have this our own cosmology, and then there's a cosmology that's going on at the moment, which I believe is the reset, it is the awakening, and it's guiding us through that. It's very much about healing. Take 4. It's been a little bit of an interesting experience to try and get this to work. But anyway, here we are. We're in a particularly incredible time at the moment. I mean, obviously the last few years, the last 10 years has been incredible, but hi JT. But in particular at the moment, we're in a very pivotal month. In fact, in astrology, this was always known to be, this is always going to be March 23 was going to be a really pivotal year. Sorry, pivotal month. There's a lot, and I'll try and remember all of it, but I'll highlight some of the things that I can remember and that are particularly significant. Obviously, you can go, you can go and have a little look yourself. It's very much out there in terms of what the shifts are. So at the moment we're in Pisces, and that's always significant because it's the end of an astrological year. Some would say it's the end of the year anyway. So there's always this sort of completion feeling that comes up. And because of the kind of energy that we're in at the moment, which again, I think is the reset, it's bringing up all that stuff that's not authentic before we move into sort of the more Aquarius phase. When I say Aquarius phase, I mean Pluto in Aquarius, Pluto will be in Aquarius for 20 years. Saturn's just coming out of it. But let me just stick with where we are right now in terms of Pisces. So we're in Pisces, but you would have noticed the Jupiter and Venus that have been sort of dancing with each other in the sky, and they're in Aries. Aries is that warrior, that fighter, that autonomous, and that is Jupiter's expansion. Venus is obviously love, money, self, and there's been that going on, as well as Chiron, which is the healing, bringing up anything that's still there that needs healing, that's not of our authentic self, that needs to be healed. So all of that's been happening anyway. People talk about solar flares. I don't really know too much about solar flares, but I do know that in terms of astrology, this particular time, including on the Tuesday, we're got a full moon on the 7th, and that's going to kind of bring all this building energy to the 7th as as well as that, because of all of this moving energy and Aries energy, there's all this, there's also sort of an exciting feeling, like it's like you're coming into your own, things are coming to you about what you want to do or where you should be, or, you know, there's some clarity coming, possibly also because we're coming into the sort of a completion of some cycles, and I'll talk about those in a second. And so if you're being triggered, or if things are coming to into your experience and you're feeling things, you might be feeling anxious for no reason, you might be feeling angry for no reason, you might be feeling emotional, sad for no reason, or for a reason, but that's coming up to be healed. And really, in most cases, it just wants to be felt. It just wants to be validated, because we're healing all that past stuff. And this is the area of coaching that I'm in, and I'm happy to talk to anyone who feels like they could do with extra support in that area. But things are coming up. So when you're being triggered, it's like, can I look at my trigger and go, instead of the person that's triggering me, can I look at the triggering and look within and go, what is it that's being triggered? Dave's joining us. I've got some friends in the chat.
Hey.
So the invitation is to be inquisitive about, right, this person, experience, thing, whatever is triggering me. What is it telling me? What is it in me that still needs looking at? What is it in me that still needs healing? What is it in me that still needs completion? What needs to be brought into wholeness? What needs to be seen? Because we can spend a lot of time going, it's that person, that thing out there that's doing that. And because of that, I feel this way, when I'm saying it's already in you. That anger, sadness, grief, it's already there. And we've had lots of reasons in our lives, in our childhood, in our lives. And by the way, this belief that I had a good childhood, so therefore I didn't, I'm saying I do not believe that. I believe that every single one of us is walking around blindly in most cases, in a lot of cases. Some have done the work, some have consciousness around it, but most of us is walking around with trauma from our childhoods, and that's still playing out. That becomes the lens we're seeing life through, we're experiencing life through. And that is the work that I believe we're supposed to do in this lifetime, is to come to equanimity, come to peace, come to wholeness, come to forgiveness, come to compassion, come back to love, come back to our hearts. Because in most cases, what it comes down to is heartbreak. Most of us are little children that were heartbroken, that the experiences we had meant that we protect our heart. And our heart is a really important device.
It's the center.
It's a really important thing that we want expanded. We want it in full expression. We want it, that is part of our superpower, is this heart vibration, and our head, our thoughts, our mind. You know, what are the thoughts that are playing over? A lot of the time, there are beliefs, there's stories, they're you know, we can call them indoctrination, we can call them whatever we want, but they're playing on repeat in our minds a lot of the time, blindly. And it's, can we catch them? Can we start to see that they're not true? And then what is that emotion that's still there, that's old? Some would even say it's lifetimes or lineage stuff that we're dealing with, but that's a whole nother conversation. So at the moment, I wanted a presence that if people, and Dave and I have both experienced that. We've had stuff come up in the last, especially 2 weeks. I mean, it's been the last 3 years, but in the last 2 weeks, a whole lot of stuff come up. And what I'm realizing is it's not new. It's not new stuff. It's old stuff that just wants validating.
But the system knows that, and it uses the cosmology to trigger us. And if you watched any of today's live from Froome, you may have noticed, oh my gosh, today was one of the, I've seldom been around so many people that have been really angry and really willing to kind of say testy stuff. It was a benchmark day when it comes to people's anger in the street. I felt it more keenly than perhaps almost any other time before. So it was a fantastic stream. I suggest if you haven't watched it, there's bits of it that are absolutely classic. Of course, what you don't necessarily get from the stream is how many people, as they walk out of camera view or up the street or whatever, they're shaking heads, saying things. My son Luke was filming the first hour or so, and he was gobsmacked by how much vitriol was being slung.
But that's going to become more, because we can say, oh, that person's acting like a child, but I believe that we're all adults in child's bodies because of trauma. And until we start to address that, we will always blame the outside. It's always the world out there, and if the world out there changes, then we'll be happy. Well, I'm saying actually it's when we do the inner work and we change, not only can we then be more loving and compassionate or have boundaries around those people who are triggered, because I love myself and I'm loving, then I either will put a boundary up or I'll be able to respond rather than react when it comes to those things that are happening on the outside. And when you're in heart expansion, then you have that stillness and that peace about you, finding solutions or being able to respond in the way that you feel is the right way. When I say right, that's another topic altogether, this wrong and right oscillation. Dave was speaking the other day and he said, God is overarching all.
Omnipresent.
And forgiveness is really it's a human experience or something we have here, because God is all forgiving. He's all loving. And it's only here that we have to have that forgiveness, that peace, that compassion, that love, so that we can grow. So yes, today was a beautiful example of, and I think it's just going to get more. There's going to be more of it. More people are going to be triggered. And of course, what do? They project and they blame. And this is the opportunity for us. In this truth community, we say, oh, we know the truth. Do you know your truth? Do you really know your truth? Do you know what's running in you that's of the past? Have you alchemized it? Have you healed it? And it's not, oh, there's a race, because it's a spiral. We're constantly looking at it and having the opportunity to feel and heal, and then it will come back around again. So it's not like, oh, I have to do it now. In fact, if we think, oh, I'm not healing properly, I'm not doing it properly, then that's also survival. It's also like, oh, now I'm shaming myself for not having done it, or not doing it quick enough, or not doing it all.
So the system is going to continue to push people, and it's going to give them reasons to be angry.
Or anything, sad, angry. People will be feeling grief. They'll be feeling fear, terror.
I go further and suggest that the people, the system that organized the last few years of everything that has gone on over the last few years, also knew that there was going to be a period where a lot more people would come to realize that the suddenly dying situation was caused by this horror story. In mainstream newspaper, someone was telling me the other day that they're calling for the health secretary what was his name? Matt Hancock. That's it. That they're trying to hang him out to dry. And what's the point of that? Well, they want to get people extremely irate. They want people to perhaps they want to use this energy to get people to go out and protest, such that there is social turmoil, and then justify perhaps further incursions on freedoms. I don't want to use certain trigger words if I can avoid it, but they want to use this energy to give people a sense that, oh, wow, we're standing up, we've realized that it's a big old scam, and we're going to do something about it. And I think they will just simply manipulate that as a means of controlling us even further.
Well, there's the oscillation. So when you're traumatized, and again, I think we all are, when you're traumatized and you're in survival, and I think we're all in survival and we don't even know it. It's just become so familiar. You always say, oh, I survived that, or it's been a struggle, but I survived. That's survival. And with survival, there's an oscillation. There's either I submit and I just do everything that I need to do to be safe, or there's the oscillation where I'm going to resist and I'm going to be everything. Like you hear people say, I'm everything that my father wasn't, for instance. That's resistance. I'm now in resistance. Instead of just submitting and being like it, I'm going to resist. And the same goes for either, we saw it in the last 3 years, either I was going to submit or I'm going to protest and resist. And I'm saying that there's a middle way, and that's where you find freedom, is when you heal. And it's not about not standing up and having a voice, not at all. But it's where we're coming from when we have that voice.
What is Alex Michael saying there?
And it's really, if we want to be sovereign, responsible beings, it's our responsibility. It's not our fault, but it's now our responsibility to make sure we heal that trauma. And you know, and
it can only be your responsibility.
Absolutely, no one can do it for you. No one can do it for you. Your partner, you have to do it, and it's uncomfortable. And actually, what I've experienced is because it's so uncomfortable, and as humans, we always want comfort. We always we're on search for that joy or that, and it's not about not having joy and peace and whatever, but it's like, can I be okay with having, or can I feel those uncomfortable feelings too? Because if we're the full expression means the whole spectrum of expression. Can we be with the grief? Can we be with the sadness? Can we be with the anger? Can we be with the joy and the happiness and everything else? But it's the sine wave. Can we be with it?
Yeah.
Because most of the time we're pushing it away. We want to find that thing to stop us feeling angry, stop us feeling sad, stop us feeling. So we're
constantly searching out there. You know, we've given up the Netflix, etc. You know,
but it can be social media. It can be food. It can be drink. It can be anything. And you know, we're all addicts. So let's be quite honest. And when I say addicts, that word even has been bastardized, because I believe addiction is a solution to a problem. In other words, we are using something to try and take away the pain. We're using something to try and not face that very thing that caused us pain.
Like a sticking plaster. And so us left-brainy guys who are trying to find the truth about the nature of this reality, we've been teased by all of this potential information about the Antarctica and the circle, the ring, and you know, what the world is, and so on. And I'll continue to look at that until I no longer breathe in this avatar. However, you know, the truth starts in here. And so we must be doing that work too. You know, if we're just focused on the external story, then, you know, we're not going to do that.
Well, part of it is also, I know what it's not. So in other words, you know, the people in this chat, we all know that it's not a globe. But we don't know for sure what it is. And can we be okay with that? Can we be okay with not actually knowing?
Yeah.
Because in the live today, you would have seen people were like, well, prove it to me. Because it's like, I have to know. Because not knowing means I'm unsafe. Not knowing and not being right means, and I'm wrong and right is just an oscillation.
Left and right.
It means I'm unsafe. But can we be in surrender? Can we be in the not knowing and be okay with that? Because that's when you're limitless. That's when you're open to the possibility of there being a whole lot of possibilities of what it could be. And it's us, and the way we're taught that we must box it in. I need to know, because then if it's this, then it's this. Well, then you've just decided it can only be this. It can't be a whole lot of possibilities. And that's abundance, that's limitless, that's full expression, that's heart open. Because then, but we want certainty, because certainty, we've been programmed to believe that certainty means that I'm going to be safe. Certainty means that that bad thing can't happen to me, or that feeling of sadness or grief or loss is not going to happen to me. When we're vulnerable, when our heart is open, when we love, there's always the risk of loss, always. But it's the only way to live, really. And we become limited and in lack because of our trauma. So now to spiral back to the astrology, at the moment, there is this energy that's pushing all of this stuff up. And can we can we be responsible? And not in a, oh, you're bad, so now you need to be responsible, but can we take responsibility for what's coming up and be inquisitive and inquire, what is that? What is that that's coming up? And in a lot of cases, it does help to have someone, your partner sometimes can be that mirror, because you're in an intimate relationship, and into me I see, and we can help each other out. But sometimes that is also the trigger, and not because your partner's trying to trigger you, but because that's what we do. That's where the growth is in an intimate relationship. But can we not project it and actually take it back in and be the man in the mirror? Look at yourself. Sometimes it's really uncomfortable because we have to take ownership for the stuff that we've done that has been out of a response or a mechanism that we learned when we were very little because of our experiences.
So now what I feel like is that today was a great experience of how much vitriol and distaste my fellow man has for me, us trying to tell them something other than what they know. And how easy is it to fall into a, I dislike you, and they're awful and all of that sort of thing. But even if they're NPCs, and I don't quite like the idea of this, of my fellow man, and these are God's, we're all within God, so I don't like the idea of that. I understand that most of us have been either traumatized or drugged into obedience and all of these sort of things. But it's not that they're not God's creation. And if like my family, like yours probably, there's been a lot of rejection and dismissing of you and all of that from your friends and family. And if we end up hating on them, then we're still kind of expressing that hate towards God, because the golden rule, do no harm, and it doesn't say do no harm.
But if you're God,
to NPC.
then they're God, right?
Yes.
I mean, then we're and I don't like this whole term of we are one, or that we're separate beings, although we do come from that same single source. And so I don't believe in NPCs, by the way. I think NPCs we call people NPCs because they are not responding in the way that we want. I think they are trauma. And does that mean that they are never in this lifetime going to overcome that trauma and walk around in some sort of illusionary ignorance? Yes, that's quite possible.
Well, one couple we spoke to today, unfortunately, I didn't get to speak to them much on camera. Andrea spoke to them off cam. They had only found flat Earth a year ago, and it was really only the 2020 Jabberwocky story that pushed them into that. So, prior to that, we would have dismissed them as NPCs.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is where, when we can start to do the healing for ourselves and start to show ourselves compassion and start to forgive ourselves and start to really understand where these coping mechanisms or survival mechanisms have come from in a compassionate, loving way, when we can really take responsibility and start to feel all those emotions, energies that need motion, that are there already, I believe, then we can start to forgive and let people off the hook. And when you can do that, that's when you can come into wholeness and peace. And then, like I said at the very beginning, it doesn't mean that you then let anybody treat you how they want. You then have loving boundaries. I can't be in your space, or I can only be around you for this amount of time. If I can't be in a loving, and when I say loving, I don't mean all mushy and lovey. I mean that I can hold a loving energy in your space, then that shows that we have work to do. And I think that's our life work. I don't think it's just now, but we are in this incredibly energetic time that opportunity is available to us.
Like I said to someone today, that, it's hard going into shops knowing that these guys, if mandate master says, oh, tomorrow you have to do this, those same people in the shops would be forcing you to do that. I get that, and I get why we want the world to see this truth so that we can move through that. But maybe we should be less, I'm speaking for myself, less invested in the whole world seeing it, because
the outcome.
Yeah, because it's like, let's be realistic. At this point in time, we're still a very, very long way from critical mass, and it may be the 100th monkey thing, and then all of a sudden there's this big switcheroo and so on. But like maybe we should be less invested in that and more grateful that we've had the sight to begin to recognize this, and then once we see what we see, then to start truly doing that work for ourselves, rather than me trying to shake and rattle my neighbors awake, because that will exhaust me to no end, and I will end up being angry with the world rather than at peace within me.
Yeah. I think it's totally about us, you first, and I think also there's this element of, when I say faith and surrender, that if we trust that we are divine beings and there's a divine unfolding, can we trust that God has this?
Yep. That the script is kind of
written. That this is written, and that comes back to the astrology. I believe that you all have a divine blueprint, and you come with this blueprint. And it's a guidance system, and it's going to take you on a journey. Yes, there's the opportunity to fill that picture or that tapestry in a way that you want to, but there is an outline that you have come here to learn some lessons. You have come here
to grow.
Grow. You've come here with a purpose.
Become captain and master of your own ship.
Exactly.
You don't need for the other guys in their boats to be as good as you in that context. It is really your own ship that you've got to get navigate these choppy waters of this incredible world that we're in.
And so you have your own personal natal chart. You have your own personal blueprints. And then, of course, we have the energies that are going on all the time, that are then guiding you and taking you along on your blueprint, on your, we could call it a script, but I don't know that it's specific, and some people will never fulfill that script. They might do elements of it, and is that why we come back in? I don't know the answers to any of that, and quite frankly, like I said, when it comes to astrology, I'm intuitively feeling it more and more. I'd love to learn more in depth about it, and I hope that I will. But what I'm taking guidance from is astrologers that I've spent a few years now looking at and trusting that the information they're giving is fairly accurate, or that I'm feeling it, I'm connecting to it. So there's this Pisces bit that we're in now. There's the full moon on the 7th. Now there's another interesting thing that happens on Tuesday, and that is Saturn, that has been in Aquarius for the last 3 years. And we know what happened in the last 3 years. It's shifting signs. It's moving out of Aquarius and it's moving into Pisces. And Saturn's kind of energy is it's the teacher. It slows you down. It restricts you. It wants you to take responsibility. It wants you to learn. It's a teacher and allows you the opportunity for growth. Of course, we can not do it, and life just feels like a struggle. Feels like a struggle, but that opportunity that energy is there, and it's going to nudge you. And if you resist, it's just going to feel like life's really tough. So it's shifting on Tuesday after 3 years into Pisces. Now, I don't know exactly what that means. There is an astrologer who's doing a talk on what that means, both personally and what's likely in the bigger picture.
What's the name?
Her name is Virginia Rosenberg.
She on YouTube or?
I'm not sure. She is on Instagram. You could probably find her website. She has a website, but if you need that information, I can pass that to you. I've actually got a link for those two webinars that she's doing, talking about what that means. You know, there's that's significant. But during this month, we've got Mars shifting from Gemini, where it's been for about 6 or 8 months, I think. And that's shifting into Cancer. We've got Neptune moving into Aries. I think there's a couple of others. Like I said, I can't think of it all right now. But the two main ones are the 7th of March, Saturn moving to Pisces for another 2.5 to 3 years. And normally when there's a shift, there's a significant feel with that, like we saw when Saturn shifted into Aquarius. What happened? Well, we don't need to say what happened in the last 3 years. So that's happening on Tuesday. And it won't necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have to be a jolt. It can be because we've got a 3-year period, it can be a subtle sort of shift. And I don't know what that is. And can I be okay with not knowing what that is? Although I can personally look at my chart and see where Saturn moves and shifts into Pisces, what that might mean in terms of my natal chart.
Can I add, sorry to interrupt you, but you know that the WHO has got permission basically from the end of May to enforce mandates. Like before then, up until then, it was more like you can agree to it, we'll try and push you into it, but they've got permission, I think, an agreement now with all these countries to sort of have the whip, to have the right to insist, not request, that countries fall in line with things. So we feel that there's a reason for them having created that conditionality where they can say right now, you don't even have a choice about the matter. You must follow this edict. So there's a reason for that. And we're pretty sure that they are going to use this contemporary energy at the right time to continue to do that. And if we haven't done the work, if we're not doing the work for ourselves, then this is just going to be yet another horror show. Is it that it's going to provide people with the impetus to take further action, whether it be within or as a pushback? Absolutely.
I think again, it's going to be more opportunity to do that healing and it's maybe for some bring them into a purpose or another role or another self mastery, another area of your chart. And it's not all bad, you know. It's supposed to bring about growth. It's supposed to bring about our return to who we truly are. And of course, that is very much Aquarian. Aquarian is about authenticity. It's about community. It's about consciousness. It is about technology, but I think that it's not just the technology that we get to use. It's the technology that we are. It's about freedom. It's about rebellion, resistance. It's about sovereignty. It's about all those things. And so this energy at the moment is the opportunity to bring us closer to that and closer to that and closer to that if we choose. It's always a choice. Always. Mm-hmm. Now, the other main, like I said, there's a few this month. There's a few shifts, not such big ones, but the next really big one is the 23rd of March. And the 23rd of March, Pluto shifts from Capricorn, where it's been since 2008. And Capricorn energy is about, firstly, Pluto energy is about showing and revealing the dark, what's hidden, again, for growth. for change. It is known as the death and rebirth energy. And that has been in Capricorn. And again, personally, it would depend on where it is in your chart. But in terms of the bigger picture, Capricorn has been about self-responsibility, self-mastery. It's been about showing the structure, where the darkness is in the structure, bringing the structure down, so death of the structure. When I say structure, I mean those systems out there, showing it, really revealing it. Can there be responsibility? That's why you're seeing things like Matt Hancock trying there to be a responsibility put onto someone for something that's not right in the system. I'm not saying that that's true or real or authentic. I'm just using an example. And so that's what the Capricorn energy has been. And it is around money, and which is why I think we've seen crypto and all those things appear in the last. It was why the banks had a crash in 2008. That was all the Capricorn energy. It's all the Pluto revealing all those things that are dark and that need to be brought down, die, and then the rebirth. So on the 23rd of March, it moves into Aquarius.
23rd of March, mark the date.
And it's only in Aquarius for 3 months, because at 0 degrees. Now it's going to be in Aquarius to 2044, so 20 years. I say 20 years because after 3 months in June, it then retrogrades and hops back into Capricorn for 6 months until January. So we go back into seeing those structures dying, being revealed, the darkness. So I think what's going to happen is these 3 months, something significant is going to show up. And then we'll pop back into Capricorn, and then those structures and whatever will be shown for 6 months. And it's all about responsibility, et cetera, for the next 6 months. Mm-hmm. But normally when these things shift, there's something significant that first happens, like in 2008, there was the bank crashing. So something significant happens. So I don't know what that is. I know that this intuitive astrologer has got a little bit more insight and into some of these things. I know one of the things she said is we are always free. We always were free. It's only us that believe we aren't. And do we want to be part of creating dystopia, or do we want to be part of creating something else? And that's really our choice. But it is our responsibility. And so I want to be serious about this, because there's so many other, with the energy, there's always a positive and a negative, and there's always growth, and there's always death, and there's always rebirth, and there's good and there's bad, and so it's not about right or wrong. It's like full expression. Can I be in it all? Can I feel it all? Can I be okay with it all? But it's all there for our growth. It's all there for our opportunity to heal and bring ourselves back to who we always truly were, and that is divine beings. And if anything, that's what the flat earth has meant to me. Seeing all of that has brought me back to me, and me being responsible and looking at what stories and beliefs I still carry. And it's still an ongoing process for me, and will be. And I think it's my life's work. I think it's all of our life's work. I think that's why we're here. Out of that will be born a purpose, or with what I learn and I master, I will want to share.
And No. I think we need each other, and I don't necessarily mean the lovely people in the chat, but in your community, in the place that you're in the world, we need a community of people that can work together and support each other through the, off the farm, as it were, through whatever's coming. So if you have the opportunity to build little networks in your space where you are, I would heartily recommend that. I've been trying to do that, and thankfully we've been traveling so much. We have friends all over the place. I see Conspiracy Music Guru is here, and we got the opportunity to hang out with
Yeah, we had a
them,
wonderful time with them.
last year, and
Really
create a
enjoyed
little
being
bit of
part
a
of their.
network for ourselves in Spain. Same in South Africa. We were able to do that too, and who knows, maybe one day we'll be able to travel to America and freely, and create a little bit of a network amongst friends there. And of course here in the old neck, we've obviously had the opportunity to build up quite a network here in all the places we visited, all the friends that we've been able to make friends with, and have a build a network for the support of each other. Because as I said earlier, I would love to see mankind come to its awakening as such, in my lifetime, but I can't be invested in that.
Well, and we have to start with ourselves, right?
Mm.
We can't expect the outside to change if we're not prepared to do that work ourselves. So I think that's really our responsibility, is first and foremost ourselves. And then the beautiful thing is that you will feel that inspiration, you'll feel that excitement about what it is that you want to do to help others, or to create something that's you're passionate about. Today we were talking about the word compassion. It's got communicate passion, and passion is something that comes from the heart. And you will feel that passion for something, whether it be something that you want to do for yourself and share, like painting, or do you want to work with animals, or do you want to be on the street sharing truth, or do you want to help people heal in a healing modality, or do you just want to make your community a beautiful place to be? Just whatever it is that your heart is, it's like a big yes. When it's a big yes, and that's why healing the body, or healing those emotions, is so important, because it's going to be our body that's going to tell us it's a big yes or it's a big no. It's going to be our body that tells us this energy doesn't feel right, I need to have a boundary. It's our body that's going to. And so when we're in flow, and that means feeling everything, then we can use this navigation system to tell us when to take action, or tell us when we need to be still, or tell us when. And actually being still and quiet and being in our own inner space, not outer space, is when we can truly hear or allow that energy of spirit, I believe, to guide us.
Yeah, it's an inside job, as they say, and
I'm not, hey, I've gone kicking and screaming. I'm in resistance a lot of the time. So this is not like a perfect thing. It's something that we commit to, and is messy sometimes, and incredibly uncomfortable sometimes. But equally, it can feel incredibly good when you're able to see it and shift it. And my goodness me, for me personally, my growth over the last 12 months in particular, but the last 3 years, has been exponential, and it's ongoing. But I am not the same woman I was at the beginning of the Saturn cycle. And I have no doubt that after the next Saturn cycle, I'm going to be a different person. Different, not person's not the right word, is it? A different human, a different human.
Human's not the right
word either. A different being. I'm going to be a different being.
You're going to be different.
I'm going to be different. Gosh, you have to be careful with the words, don't you? Yeah, so that's it. I mean, there's more. There's the equinox that's supposed to be. I think Aries is involved, and there's North Node stuff going in. It's all very interesting. It's stuff I'm learning about astrology. Your North Node is it shows you on your chart what your kind of drive is, what you've come here to do. Your South Node is where you've come from, and it's all very interesting, and I'm learning. But that's just those little nuggets that I can pass on to you. But more importantly, what are you feeling today? What's going on for you today? And is there stuff that really just needs to be validated, just needs time, just needs holding, just needs a friend to hear?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's kind of all good, and it's all like a test. As I was saying to people in the street today, as you've heard me say, and I'm sure you've thought yourself, this is like a fire test, and that fire test is going to temper the steel such that you earn your stripes, that you become the captain, and that you genuinely are that master of yourself and your own ship. But I'm grinning like a Cheshire cat because I'm still on a bit of a high from today's.
Didn't he do well? Didn't he do well? Because there were a lot of triggered people today. There are a lot of people. The energy today, by the way, was needing to be right. There was actually an energetic, astrological energy. The astrologer had said this was particularly talking about children, but I think we're children in adults' parties still a lot of the time, because we're running on those same child traumas and beliefs, and so even the adults were acting like children, and there was so much of that today, needing to be right,
shredding, like.
But needing to be right is a trauma response, because if I'm not right and I'm wrong, wow, what does that mean?
I absolutely flattened Frome, or Froome as they call the town today. I absolutely gave it all passion, and it was a little bit like I think was it what's that university town, Cambridge on tour last year with Jason and Harry and a few others. I saw Dean was in here. He was there at Cambridge. Dean HD, he was there in Cambridge last summer, where I just let rip into the university town, and today I never planned to do that. I thought I'd go and put up my banner there and let people come and gather around and all of that sort of thing. But it turned out that I had noise to make, and people up and down that street were looking in their hundreds. And, even if they thought I was a little bit bonkers, at least they're going to go home and talk about it, share a photo on their social media, and get people in conversation. There were people in the town who agreed and shook hands and said, I see it, and all that sort of thing. So that was really nice. I had a few lovely conversations with people on that scale. But in the main, there was a lot of people feeling like, yeah, they're right, and I'm completely batty. And Lukey, our son, he held the camera for the first hour and a half, and it was a bit of a baptism of fire for him to hear. You talked about it afterwards, to hear how much people were slagging off his old man. So that was quite a day. But I'm very proud of my son.
It was his triggering. He got triggered by it, and that was just his opportunity to look at that for himself. And old Nick is said Froome. Interestingly, Dave, just talking about astrology, Dave's his North Node is in Aries, and of course we're coming to really like significant Aries energy, and some of the eclipses this year are in, if I'm not mistaken, Aries, Libra, and I think watch the space this year. I think Dave's going to come into his own when it comes to this space. Well, I hope so. Dave has taken responsibility most of the time for the stuff that's been coming up for him.
Not all of the time, and stuff has come up for me, and it's been been contentious and at times and difficult, and it's not but
this stuff is so hard to see because our mind is so powerful. It's been running on default with these stories and beliefs for so long. It's so hard to dissolve that, and it takes time. And I think what I want to kind of say wholeheartedly is, can we be compassionate about those stories and beliefs that we still hold? And even when we get triggered, that actually, it's sometimes lifetimes, or sometimes we're clearing lineage, the lineage of our family line of these ways of being. And so can we be compassionate, but at the same time, start to
Take
be willing.
I'll just run back up the top of the chat. And that's what Brian says. Totally. Take 4. We really struggled to get this stream going, and we were trying to do it on our other channel, the Trinities. A whole lot of crap with that. So, but I just wanted to run through the chat because I don't know we want to keep this going over an hour necessarily. But
you didn't get a chance to do the chat today, really, did you?
I didn't see the chat today really at all. Andrea did tell me that Josh, Authentic Intent, was in the chat today, and he's somebody that I really admire for his activism in 2017, 18, 19. I don't know if he's still out there, but much respect to Josh for having done such fantastic work. So that I didn't see him or you in the chat was certainly not that I didn't mention it, but I was absolutely focused on, the front line, and it was full on out there. And anyone who hasn't watched today's stream, please go back if you got the time and flick through some of that. It was pretty well,
because you had some really good conversations. We had a couple come, and they're flat earthers, and they live locally, and they've been through the only for a year, and they've been through that normal being pushed, rejected by family. And then there was a lady with her daughter, and a girl came and said, my dad's that girl. There's my dad's into this, and at the very end he came and chatted to Dave. So there was a few. There
was a schoolgirl. She was only about 1.2 meters tall. I don't know how old she is, but couldn't have been more than 12, 13, I suppose. And she came and said, I said to my teacher, why wouldn't you fly off? And we all probably asked that same question, but we bought into the bucket and string and, swing it around. And that's why we don't fall off, because look at the water sticking to the bottom of the bucket. Oh, how crazy. I don't know if Brian's still around. He's probably got some other live stream running. I did mean to mention to Brian that he'd lost. Well, I didn't mean to mention it to him. He knows that he lost his channel Dose of Reality the other day. So gutted for you, mate. If you hear that, so that's, I know how that feels. Unindoctrinated, lovely to see you, and Run Boston Bear, of course, and Teenage T, I mentioned earlier. Indigo Day. Thank you. And London Man, good to see you if you're still there, Indigo. I already said you. What's
Annette?
No, one love. There's very few ladies in my YouTube world, so nice to see, I think, a lady name. And Bearsworth
says Dave's video this morning was inspiring.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. I was inspired by it myself. I have to be honest. It was like I came back and I was like, that's what I'm meant to be doing. I feel much more inspired by doing that than a lot of the other stuff. And it's meant to be inspiring as well. I truthfully, I prefer doing it live than say I didn't have a camera with me. I prefer doing it live because it inspires people in the wider thing. It puts a record down of what we're doing. I know it's hard to get this content shared, but I think Martin Likos, a few other people might have shared the video as it went, because this new channel of mine hasn't had great traction. And so we got up to about 65 people watching it at one time. So that I'm grateful for that. It's Alex Michael. He's put out a new album. Angela Baby Carson, much love. Another lady. There you go. Lee Redpath. How you doing, brother? JT and DJ. Sending some heart and love. Alva Billy, lots of nice comments there from you, and I enjoyed reading what you said about your neighbor checking in on you. I think we need to be that. You might have heard me say, but back in 2016, when I realized what was going on, I started trying to make friends with all my neighbors on Good Heart Way, where we lived. Because I thought at that point things were going to implode, and didn't expect that I'd be out of that house. But I try to build up a rapport with all my neighbors, although I wasn't trying to flat smack them all. I just wanted to be a face in my community, so that if the poo hit the old fan, people would know who I was, and we could talk to each other about, things. Who knows what they would have thought of me telling them in 2020 not to put the nappy on the face, but
we weren't meant to be there, so it's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
You missed out Bob Smith.
Bob Smith. Nice to see you, Bob.
And then is
Singe,
that
man.
NH guy?
New Hampshire guy. Yeah, he was in the chat today.
Yeah, he kind of liked the lady. He was hoping that she was single, and he was
trying
to see if she had a ring on her finger.
Was that the Flat Earth lady with the daughter?
Yes.
She was lovely, actually. She was, nice to look at as well, but it was just her energy was really nice. So it was nice to make that contact with her today. And of course, for her also, she would, I think, was feeling like there's not a lot of folks that she can talk to about all of this, So there are, in each place, there are people who could, if they knew of each other, be coming together.
You'd be surprised at how many people there actually are that are all thinking the same thing. I'm on my own. I don't have anyone. And actually, they're going into the town. But also, I just believe that if you set that intention, I want to meet people that I can resonate with, the universe will meet you.
Yeah. And Matt, man, how are you doing, brother? Nick's happy to be here because he had a mad day. And it's, the energies are pretty challenging at the moment. So we kind of need each other. And, I'd like to do lives more often. This has been kind of fun. And obviously street lives, but to be part of a community. I've watched some of my other friends doing their regular lives. I'm like, I should be doing that too myself to develop good energy and feeling among people. But truthfully, I have been going through so much of my own
growth.
Growth. That's a good way of putting it.
It's all there for our growth. It's none of it's bad.
Since we left Spain, Alex, Michael, and then we've stayed in probably 8 or 9 places just since when did we leave? October. We left Spain in October, and we probably lived in 9 places.
But I look back at our memories of the last 3 years, and wow, we've had such an adventure. Has it been hard? Wow, it has. But
insane. Goodness
me, it's been an adventure.
Red Path.
Singe man.
Best activist bar none. Well, there you go. Please put a vote up there. Thanks very much. I appreciate that. I like when I first went out and just started doing activism, I thought, I studied Flat Earth quite deeply back in 2015, 16, and then I'd kind of not continued following the breadcrumbs. And so when I started doing activism in 2018, I knew that I wasn't like super well versed. We were raising Zizi. He was already 1 year old at that point, or coming up for 1. And I was far more busy with that in my life than I was keeping myself abreast with that or keeping my knowledge fresh. So when I was going out doing activism, I knew I wasn't the most learned guy necessarily to be doing that, and that there would be, in time as this evolved, there would be more well-researched guys, better speakers, coming into the fray. And when we had that first big gathering in Speaker's Corner, summer of 2018, there were about 50 people there, and I thought this is just the beginning of something that's going to become much bigger. And there was good energy for activism. When we did the 2019 tour, there was a lot of support for that. The Americans were right behind us. So there was a lot of support from the American contingent. And then everything got shut down a few months after that, just 3 months after we finished the tour, it was all lockdown. So, and that really took the wind out of the sails of the movement, I think.
Did it give everybody an opportunity to kind of do a little bit of that inner work and gardening and mastering themselves? It's given you an awful lot of time to think about your message and what you want it to be, your intention behind it, and to alchemize it and to allow it to unfold. So it depends on which way you want to look at it,
Yeah. So thanks for that, Lee. I think that I want to do more. I feel like this is part of my, life purpose. Did you hear the astro what do they call themselves? Astrotheologists? No,
Physicist.
astrophysicists. There was a lady who asked me today, is this what you do? Is this your job?
Is this your full-time job?
This is your full-time job. Before she told me she was an astrophysicist, and then rushed off before I could have any kind of discourse with her. But in a way, you know, today felt super exciting for me. I had the old police come and speak to me. I had the people running the street fair approach me a couple of times. The lady got right up in my face one time. You know, so would I like to be, for me to there be more than me out there with me today, and others doing it in other places? There are others doing it in other places. But you know, I just want to be one of the guys doing it because it feels right for me.
Well, can I say that I think that everybody has something that's their thing to give, and this is where this fullest expression comes in. Can I be in my fullest expression? And whatever that is, there's only one you. There's only one Dave that can do his Daveness on the street, but that doesn't mean there isn't space for the Dean or the Nick or whatever, whoever there is. You bring your own essence, you bring your own energy, and that's all necessary.
Well, and that guy, Conspiracy Music Guru, doesn't he make tunes or something about it and stuff like that, you know? And he's a great musician.
Yeah, I mean, with the orchestra, and we need every bit.
Yeah. He doesn't like to admit it, but I think I sing better than him. We did what do you call it? Karaoke with him 2 or 3 times, and it just got better and better, man. So he's like, no more karaoke, because he's getting to. No, I'm just kidding. It was such good fun. He's a great musician, great singer, very talented guy.
Okay, I'm done.
Stepping back. But you know, you could have me backing vocals. You know what I'm saying? At least,
or maybe the drum,
just making this,
maybe the guitar,
just rolling the smokes or something, or pouring the brandy. What is it he drinks? That other stuff. But but no, we all have a place we all have a role to play, you know, and finding your own true best expression is best done by, you know, perhaps setting aside some of the horse poop from this, and getting perhaps out of the trenches, your own personal trench of, you know, we're sort of just following breadcrumbs. I mean, it may be as a teacher, but I just feel like your best expression, whether it be as a teacher, a musician, or whatever, is gonna come, you know, when it comes from the heart. Like, okay, so now I'm not going to name any names, but like when we've done activism in the past with some folks over the years, where you know, you can really feel the anger coming from the guy, you know, who's trying to tell people about flat Earth. And I think that those people, just like me, you know, I've been the same, where I know that I can reach people better. And even if I don't, but if I'm emanating a vibration of love rather than a you blah 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 blah. I mean, I sounded a little bit like that today, but you know that it was coming from a place of, well, I don't know.
Can I say that I think if you're emanating an energy of anger, that anger's already in you. That's my point. That anger's there. It's very old. I believe it's from when you weren't seen and heard when you were younger. If you have sadness, if you have stories like I'm not good enough, or I can't win, or it's unfair, or I'm going to.
Or they can't win. You know, like I don't want them to blah blah blah.
Yeah,
blah,
or I'm going to be rejected, or I'm just going to fail at this, or whatever. Those stories, they're old. You decided them a long time ago, and they become your identity, and then you think that that's who you are, and they are the lies. They are the lies, and attached to them are a lot of emotions that are the fuses that keep those things anchored, and that's the healing.
Yeah.
So when you're triggered, it's actually in you already.
Yeah.
And that's the trick. Can I be with that? And can I see it? Can I be conscious? It looks like Sarah and I sang karaoke. I don't want to talk about NASA in a pub the other day. It went very well.
Is that the I don't want to talk about NASA that Alex made? The conspiracy, the flat Earth man.
Yeah.
You sang his song in it. Oh, it'd be awesome if you had that on video. We could send it to him.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I'm sure he'll be chuffed to hear that, actually. So fantastic.
In fact, I think Alex, Conspiracy Music Guru, should hold like a mass karaoke event. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
And we can all come and have a good sing-song, because let me tell you, having a good sing-song is really good for the soul.
Yeah, that was. I've never really done karaoke before until I got to Alex.
Dave loved it, didn't he, Alex?
I was.
He loved it.
Well, more shouting. I wasn't really singing. I was more shouting than singing, I suppose.
It's the passion. It's the passion you gave.
Yeah. And it breaks down barriers, you know.
Yeah.
So that was all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Alex wants a video of it, otherwise it didn't happen. So there you go.
Martin is organizing a flat Earth talent show.
That's
now,
right.
That's going to be really funny.
That's right.
I mean,
I don't know when, but
yeah.
I don't know. Do you know when it is, Nathan? Nice to see you anyway. Again, second time today. Yeah, I know that it'll probably be all the way over in Wales, but no problem. If you can make it out there.
Anyway, I unfortunately have to go on another very long call, so we need to wrap it up. But hey, it's always good hanging with you guys.
Yeah.
If anybody's
Martin
is in the house. First heats are tomorrow.
Oh wow! And do people need to be? Is it online or are you doing it people in a pub kind of thing? What? I did say to Martin that I was going to try and get to him or his city in Cardiff in the next month, because we're in this region for a good few more weeks.
It is on his Tartarian channel.
Okay.
And Dean says he didn't video it, unfortunately, but he will next time. But it did happen.
Right. We believe you, mate.
I wish I could leave the stream running, because it feels like there's such a good community vibe going, and I hope that if anybody is feeling anything or experiencing anything or feels a little stuck, that if they want to reach out to Dave and I for some support, please do. We
made that offer the other day, and somebody did. I won't name names, but somebody did, and it was beneficial all around, actually.
Yes. So I still have some free sessions as part of my case studies. Not a lot, but I do have some free sessions.
Although he did send us a donation,
and then we can discuss if it's something that needs to be longer, because sometimes just 3 sessions is only scratching the surface. If it's something that is longer, then we can discuss a donation option. But because I really feel like if you can have that container of someone showing you what's running blindly, it can make all the difference. So reach out if you feel like you need any support.
I'll try and do this again, like from home rather than in the contentious.
But we'll try and do a few more of these, because it feels like it's
nice to have some
old friends in the community just hanging out and chatting. I think actually I'd prefer to do it on Zoom, where everybody can actually be seen and can have their voice. So maybe we'll organize a Zoom community session.
You call in
and you can call in and you can have a chance to speak, and
that would be nice.
and we can have a laugh together. Just know that you're not alone.
We did, just so I don't forget now, we did get some donations sent to us today. I don't at this point in time remember the names of the people, and I do apologize for that.
Off the top of my head, it was there
you go. and I just want to say thank you very much for that. I think it totaled about 50.
Matthew Northey.
Yes. A lady.
Denise.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I can't remember the other one, but we will reply directly. To say thank you.
Very much appreciated. And it all goes towards buying strawberries for my little boy, and fuel for the car, etc., etc.
Well, it's also it's a great way of showing Dave how much you value his energy that he puts out there, because he does.
I gave it full. I'm exhausted
Yeah.
actually. I gave it full leather there for 4.5 hours. My voice is a little bit croaky. I didn't mean to upset anybody in the town, but I couldn't help myself. But I really think thousands of people heard my voice today, and I'm not exaggerating. It was a very busy, packed town, and
But the whole of the sheltered housing, they were
yeah,
complaining they couldn't sleep, right?
Yeah.
So they were clearly hearing your voice.
Yeah, so it was great, and I know there's definitely more in the tank, much more in the tank where that came from. So you will be seeing more of me on that. But I've loved this opportunity to connect with you guys. You guys are offering us and each other in the chat. You're giving a lot of good energy and positivity, and we need to build on that. I think that a modern leaker actually gives a very positive, energetic, good energy stream as well. So but I think that I have a role there as well, or we have a role perhaps, and let's see if we can build on this. Matt, man, nice to see you. You're going to watch it now. I assume you're referring to the stream. I genuinely feel like that was one of the most
interesting.
Yeah, and sort of action-packed, if you like, and I will say this, just like people say, Andrea said in the chat, some people saying why I would say this or I would say that, and I agree that
Only a couple.
Yeah, there's times when I know that the answer that I've given isn't necessarily the answer that I want, or that I want to say something else, but I'm needing to allow somebody else to speak, and then the conversation will move on from the point that I was going to make with them.
But sometimes it's also easier when you're watching than when you're in the moment with that person in front of you.
Yeah, under the pressure of the spotlight, as it were.
It's all an opportunity to grow and learn, right? But really, my love to you guys, and just be compassionate and tender with yourselves. If you need any support or you want to chat, just reach out, and we'll speak to you really soon. Sending lots of love.
Peace and love, and flat as a pancake. But electromagnetic love to you, one and all. And what's that, Sherry?
Yeah, Sherry, it's been nice listening to you too. Thanks for your time. You're welcome.
And thanks to all of those who shared today's stream. I greatly appreciate that.
Take care. Lots of love.
For now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.